Backstage at NWA New York with one of the mainstays of the Rochester wrestling scene, former member of the WWE roster, and a guy who really needs no introduction, but we'll give it to him anyway, Colin Delaney.
Extremely cute wrestler, Colin Delaney. That's me.
Colin, we were just talking off camera before we went on, and you have done a couple shoot interviews. First of all, do you want to tell the fans what shoot interviews are and what they're like?
Shoot interviews they just talk to you about your career and wrestling, and you tell stories, and it's like kind of a behind-the-scenes look on wrestling. And they've done it with a lot of people. When I first got released from WWE, I did one with RF Video, and it was really fun. And then just recently, I did one with Jimmy Olson, another Rochester mainstay who you may all remember, and that was a lot of fun too. So I enjoy him. I mean, I have a lot of fun.
Now, Jimmy, of course, your former tag team partner, you won numerous tag team titles with Jimmy up and down the East Coast.
Yeah.
U.S., Canada, Mexico. We're not sure about Mexico, but you and Jimmy, now, I've heard a rumor that you're not really brothers. Do you want to address that?
Who says brothers have to be a blood relation? Nobody. I got a lot of brothers. I've made a lot of brothers in this business, and Jimmy is definitely more than a friend. So he's definitely my brother. I've known Jimmy since I was 14, 15. We've traveled the roads together. We've done a lot of things together. At this point, he's as blood comes.
Let's talk a little bit about your WWE ECW debut, which came here in Rochester. You wrestled Sheldon Benjamin. I was there, pleasantly surprised to hear your name being announced. And you got in-ring mic time prior to the debut. How did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, wrestling doesn't make me nervous. Wrestling will never make me nervous. Going in the ring and wrestling is what I know and is what I do well. But standing up in front of so many thousands of people in the Blue Cross Arena, where I went to see WWE events and WCW events and all those things back in the day, going in front of all those people and talking, scared out of my mind. That was real fear. Real fear.
But you did a good job, and Taz helped you through it.
Thanks. Yeah. Taz is great. People don't know this. We used to have to rehearse these things, but Taz didn't need to. He never needed to. Taz was always on point, and he would improv, and he's really underrated for his announcing. I think people kind of take him for granted a little bit, but Taz really made a lot of those segments. If you go back and watch them, Taz really makes those segments work for me and for a lot of people.
Without giving away too much of the business, at what point after your initial match with Sheldon Benjamin were you told by WWE officials that, hey, we might like to see you back again real soon?
I mean, I was told immediately that they'd like to see me next week, and then after I wrestled Big Daddy V the next week, they said we'd like to see you back next week, and then next week, and then next week, and then eventually they said, you know what, we'd like to bring you on full time on the road, and that was a really cool moment for me. It's all I ever wanted to do in my life was be a WWE wrestler, watching it when I was knee-high, before I can even read. I remember my earliest memories of life. I swear to goodness, my earliest memories of life, before I could read, I remember my older brother Ed Delaney, who wrestles around here, Freddie Midnight or whatever, used to have to read the names of the wrestlers off the little, on the bottom of the screen. Before I could even read, my earliest memories of life are of wrestling. So it's all I ever wanted to do.
I don't know if that's good or bad that you were following. I mean, I really don't know. Is that something to encourage kids to watch wrestling before they know how to read?
Yes, absolutely.
It worked out for you.
No, it worked out for me just fine, and everyone's got their thing, and I think it's more kid-friendly nowadays than it has been in a long time. And I think with guys like John Cena, who is just an amazing guy and an amazing wrestler and an amazing talent. Wrestling is so much better for kids now than it ever has been, and I think it's coming up. Kids got John Cena sneakers, and they got all sorts of things,
I guess whether some fans like his style, and that he is a good role model for the kids. He represents the company well.
I don't care what anyone says. John Cena is probably the best thing that's happened to wrestling in a long time, since the Rock Austin era. John Cena, like him or hate him, is a perfect figurehead for professional wrestling right now. He's no homo. He's a good-looking dude. He's an athletic guy. He's in shape. He's a good wrestler. He's a good talker. He really has it all, and he's the total package. And outside that, he's a super wicked nice guy. And could you ask for any more than that out of someone who you want to put at the front of your company? I can't imagine anybody else doing it.
Quite an endorsement. If we may, can we talk a little about the Delaney family? You mentioned your older brother Ed, who you have tagged with locally. Yeah. Freddie Midnight's name. Now you also have brothers who have dabbled in the wrestling business. Bobo, who's quite a guitar player.
Yeah, my brother Brian, younger brother. I have 3 brothers. My brother Ed, Freddie Midnight, is 18 months older than me. He also wrestles. My brother Brian, who is 18 months younger than me. We're Irish triplets, I guess they call us. But 18 months younger than me, tried his hand at wrestling for a while, but is now just an amazing guitar player. Plays in a band, has a lot going on for him. And then the youngest brother, my youngest brother Sean, who's 19 years old now, he tried his hand at amateur wrestling for a while, and is I'm pretty sure someday I'll talk him into doing what I do. But I mean, all our life, that's all we watched. We watched wrestling, so that's all we ever wanted to do.
Just a couple more questions here with Colin Delaney. Do you see a Delaney wrestling dynasty down the road? If maybe not this generation, the next, when they're their offsprings and like the nephews and nieces?
I mean, I don't know. I know that my generation of Delaney with Ed and Brian and Sean have done nothing but watch wrestling. Like when it was popular, when it was unpopular, the whole time we loved wrestling. And I mean, I've carried it on and tried to make it more, but I mean, we're at the Upstate show now. My brothers are in the crowd. They still love wrestling. And if I ever have kids, God help them, I will push wrestling on them. I mean, not push it on them, but I guess steer them in the way of it, because I think it's a really great, I mean, a great production, a great, I don't want to say sport necessarily, sports entertainment, but it's a great form of entertainment, and it's a great way to come out and spend a couple hours, really.
And you learn a lot about life too, both the good and bad.
Sure. I've learned the good and the bad. I have met some of the nicest people I will ever meet in my life in wrestling, and I have met some of the down and out scummiest people I've ever met in my life in the wrestling business. And I wouldn't take back any of these memories for anything in the world. Never. I have no regrets about anything I've ever done.
One final question, Colin. A standard question, like a lot of employers will ask this people on the job interviews. Where do you picture yourself 15 years from now? After you stop wrestling, do you still want to be in the wrestling industry, or is that just something you're living each day one at a time?
I live each day one at a time, and anyone who's ever met me will tell you that I live each day one at a time. 15 years. Wow.
I don't know if the world will be around in 15 years, but we won't worry about that.
I'll be, let's just say I'll be old. I mean, I'll be in my my upper 30s, coming on 40s, and I don't know. Who's to say? Guys like Ric Flair wrestle into their 60s. I can't, but I.
No, you can say, but you can't say 60s.
Well, gosh darn it. But no, Ric Flair wrestled into his 60s. We got Tommy Dreamer on the show tonight. He's getting up there in age. I don't want to say anything bad about Tommy, because he'll come out here and he'll punch my face in. But
that's right, you two have a history.
Yeah, we have quite the history. Maybe we'll see that history tonight. All right.
Wow. Okay. Colin Delaney, ladies and gentlemen, multi-time tag team champion, Rochester wrestling staple. Thank you for joining us.